Hey everybody, and if you are just subscribing, I would just like to say welcome to my channel. This channel is for the love of money. If I have any new subscribers out there, I'm dedicating this channel to my sister so that I can create awareness about what took place in her situation and, how she passed away. I missed you guys last week. I didn't get a chance to actually record. I'm actually still a little bit up under the weather, but I just really couldn't go another day without, continuing to shoot a video not a really video because I'm not going to be actually in it tonight because I'm still a little bit congested, but I just wanted to make sure that I continue to get all of this information out to you guys because like I said in my last video, that it was a very long journey and it's going to probably take some time for me to get all these things out that happened. First, I want to say, thanks to everyone that's been so supportive in sharing my videos and, just accepting the information and the knowledge that I'm passing along. And, it really makes me feel good because I have a lot of people that contact me and they ask a lot of questions, because they got loved ones that's in the hospital or they got people that's, showing some type of sign that they're sick or doctors not being able to actually identify what the issue is right now. So it really makes me feel good to know that because I've been in this situation, that everybody trusts that they can contact me to ask me certain questions, so they can be kind of proactive and help out that loved one that's in need of help. So again, thank you for just subscribing to my channel and taking a look at everything that I'm trying to share with you guys in reference of what happened to my sister. I'm going to try to stay on pace because I always get so sidetracked because I try to get as much information in as I can. But I promise to try to stay short and brief and then just go ahead and let you guys go. But I want to pick back up off of where we left the other week. I was explaining to everyone that, things just begin to go downhill from here. And when I say that, it's because we got to the part where, she went through this whole 6-hour surgery because the doctors they were already aware that she had the tumor in her back. But, of course, like I said, she was pregnant and, they wanted to make sure they can go in and try to remove the tumor to stop her from being paralyzed. But unfortunately, that failed. So this clip, I'm just going to share with you, what began to take place as we found out that she could not have that tumor removed from around her spine. So, the doctors, they told us that they tried everything that they could do, and they couldn't actually remove it. It was just so much tumor in there. But, it was so heartbreaking because it was a 6-hour surgery, and like I said, me and my brother-in-law, we were, right there just waiting and hoping that when she came back out that everything would be okay. Because it's kind of like what they kind of set the expectations to be, But that it didn't go that way. A couple of hours after that, she was really asleep because she had, taken medicine because of all the pain from having a 6-hour surgery. She hadn't woke up yet. So, unfortunately, she didn't really actually even know everything that took effect. She just remembered before she went to sleep that when she went in there that they was going to remove the tumor and, everything would be okay and her legs will not be paralyzed because it was at the point to where that's kind of like the stage that it was going. So, myself, my brother-in-law, like I said, my best friend, she had made it over there at the time too, Cam. And, we were just talking about everything that took place and trying to feed off of each other based on this information that we got from the doctors. Of course, my mom was there too. And, she was listening to everything, but I think she kind of went into a blur because, of course, she was in denial based on everything that was taking place. I think she was just more shocked as anything that, how could something like this happen to her child? But, my brother-in-law, me and my best friend, we were just kind of just there, at the hospital. Everybody was kind of doing their own thing at this moment. And we were trying to wait for her to wake back up because we were kind of rotating out in the rooms. when she woke up, the doctors told us that they were going to come around in a couple of hours and they would update her on what took place. Because, she didn't know that she was paralyzed. And based on what they were telling us, I couldn't just really say for sure that was going to be the case. Like, my questions were, she's never going to walk? And they would say, well, no, it doesn't look like it. They just never gave any hope. But when she woke up, I waited for the doctors to kind of tell her what took place, but I kind of wanted to see how they were going to relay the information to her. But I wanted to kind of chime in behind them just so that she wouldn't lose hope, because, again, they never really showed anything that made me feel as if that what they were saying was accurate or true. It was more like, I'm the doctor and this is what, we understand to be truth, and this is what we're going with. So when my sister woke up, the doctor came in and he told her, he said, hey, you did really good in there. Everything, it went good. I was a little bit upset at this point because, now I wanted to make sure that they was explaining everything exactly, except, it was hard because it was so many doctors involved. My sister had about 30 doctors because everybody was responsible for so many different things. The anesthesiologist, the OBGYN team, because she was pregnant. You had the surgeons, the bone, the cancer, the people that specialize in certain things, the read lab work, whether it's cancerous or not. I can just go on and on, but I'll get to that part, in another clip, just to stay on track here. But she asked the doctor, what is it that he was trying to tell her? He said, well, we didn't remove the tumor. And I saw the look on her face, and she went into like a place out of space, and she had like this stare, and she said, so it's still there? And he said, yeah, it's still there. We couldn't remove it. So she took another breath and she said, so am I paralyzed? And he said, yeah, that's what it appears to be. Yeah. The chances of you being able to walk again is, very, very slim. At this time, she took another deep breath and she said, she started looking for the nurses, the button to press for the nurse. And she said, I'm going to need y'all to bring me some pain medicine or something very strong in here, because this news that, y'all just gave me, I don't really know how I'm going to be able to handle that. And I believe at this time she began to test her faith, because, through this entire ordeal, she was very, very faithful that, that God would take care of the situation. And, not saying that he didn't, but based on her being obedient and, just faithful and praying and, just leaving it up to him. And never in her mind, I didn't think she would imagine that there was no hope. And I can kind of see her just at that moment, she was a little bit, I guess, exhausted. Out of everything that she done, to hear them say that pretty much they failed and, there's no hope. It made her feel as if, what do I do now? So I waited for the doctors to leave, and I told her, I said, I know what he is saying, it sounds bad, but what he's saying is it hasn't been something that they've proven yet. These are just things that they are guessing at this point, because they feel that they can't do anything else because you're still pregnant. And I explained it to her to let her know that, don't give up, because we actually have to make sure that we understand what's going on so we can know the next step to take. So I know I had to be focused, and I know I had to make sure that I gathered all the information that I could. At this point, me and my brother-in-law, my mom, my best friend, we became really like detectives because we wanted to make sure that we put our heads together and process everything these doctors were saying to make sure that we can actually help them find things and do more research based on them just coming giving us an answer to say we can't do this or we can't do that. The main goal was to ask why and to have them to explain as many times as possible so that we can understand that there was a true hard no. And that's exactly, what we did throughout the entire process. So moving forward, the plan was they couldn't really do anything else. My sister, she started to feel the numbness in her legs at this point, and I think it was a very uncomfortable feeling for her because she never felt this kind of feeling before. So we had to take turns exercising her legs, like in a circular motion so that she could feel better. Like, I don't really know what it felt like to her, but she described it as a feeling of pain and uncomfort, like discomfort. And me and my brother-in-law, he would, get there and help and rub her legs and massage her legs. And he would, just do whatever it was that she wanted him to do because she needed to be relieved from whatever pain. Because you got to keep in mind, she was pregnant still. And she couldn't take certain things to help her with the pain. So we had to be creative and look up stuff. I asked, what if she can't take medication? What kind of creams can she use? We asked all the right questions to make sure we can get her any sign of relief that could help her through this process so that she can, continue to help us, read her so we can make sure we knew what was going on. So at that moment, once she continued the process that, the doctors are saying that her legs are no longer going to work anymore. Every now and again, she would say little things, but the things that she would say, I would acknowledge, but I was still, at this point, more focused on the signs. I'm trying to look at what's going on with her, and all the things that the doctor would be giving her moving forward. I wanted to know what kind of medication they was giving to her because I was kind of skeptical that, what she could take because she was pregnant. But I just kind of felt like at this point, I didn't know if they were going to be honest with me about everything because it just seems like things started to change. And the doctor told me at this point, I said, what is it that we need to do? What signs do we need to look for? I said, you've already done a surgery. We can't remove it. You can't treat the tumor. It's going to continue to grow. And she's pregnant. And he just told me, just any signs of change, look for that. I still didn't know what that meant. So I took what he said and I started to just monitor her. All of us did. And watch for signs of, I guess, things that changed. I noticed that she, would not eat as much. And I didn't understand why she wasn't hungry because she was pregnant. So I couldn't understand why a pregnant woman wouldn't want to eat. But, it was just one of the signs. She wouldn't eat as much. We kind of had to tell her to eat. So the plan was, the doctor said, in a couple days, we're going to have her to go to therapy. We're going to release her. And she's going to go to the rehabilitation center. This way they can allow her to cope with her situation and try to show her things to do. Moving around the house whenever she gets ready to be released to go home. And that pretty much was the wait because, again, at this time she was 7 months pregnant and they were really trying to wait until she carried the baby full term so that she can actually begin to move forward with whatever other procedures would be options. So at this time when we were there in the hospital, she continued to complain about her legs being in so much pain. And she never really complained about anything else. she just complained about the pain in her legs. So that was our focus. We continued to move her legs to make sure she was comfortable, and, try to give her as much, food, trying to make her eat, and talk to her, to keep her mind off of everything that was going on. But that was all we can do. She was on the floor in intensive care for a while. Then they took her down to another floor because we were in this process waiting to be released to go to the rehabilitation center in a couple of days. So I stayed at the hospital. I talked to my brother-in-law. I was telling him to kind of make sure he stay in the loop of what these doctors are saying and keep me posted. I updated my friend Cam, she was there. So all of us was still at this point trying to figure out, we're going to always be 2 or 3 steps ahead of these doctors so that when they come tell us something, we either already know about it, or either we're going to try to research something to say, well, if you can't do that, why you can't do this? And that was the plan. It was like just turn up time from there. So, a couple of days passed, and of course I live in Texas and she lives in Arkansas. So I had to leave so I can come home and, make sure my daughter got back and forth to school, and of course me get back to work, and just kind of at this point, since we were in limbo, trying to wait for her to get released to go to the rehabilitation place. Once she got there, I knew I was going to, come back. So I told her, that I was going to leave and I was going home and that I would be back. And, she's always, wanting to make sure everybody else is so comfortable. And she wants to make sure that everybody understands how much she appreciates them, because she don't really likes to ask for anything. And she told me, she said, I just really thank you so much for coming. And she said, I'm glad you came to see about me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, she's not even focused on the fact of what's really going on with her. She's wanting to thank people for coming to see her. But that's just really who she was. So, but that's just, she does that all the time. Well, she did that all the time. So when I was leaving and she thanked me for coming, and I gave her a hug, and she said, I hate to see you go. And I said, I said, well, I'm coming back. I said, I'm coming back. But I think she really at that point didn't want me to leave, because she didn't know, was I going to make it back to see her? I think that's what the issue was. But I did. I went ahead and got my stuff. I left, and I came back to Texas, and I continued to stay in the loop. I had one of the doctor's personal number because she was very, very she seemed to really care about the situation. So it was easy for me to contact her and just make sure that I asked questions. And she was with the OBGYN team, so of course I knew she would know what was going on with my sister. So I kept that direct contact with her, because I needed to be in contact with someone on the inside, of course, so that I could make sure that I got the information that I needed. So I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to continue again next week. And just leave this, letting you guys know that at this cutoff point, we were in limbo waiting to go to the rehabilitation place. The plan was for my sister to stay there for a couple weeks to understand how to cope with her situation, and letting the baby continue to grow, which my nephew, he was continuing to grow and he was doing really good, and just see which would come first. They didn't want to induce her labor. They felt like wasn't a need to do that. So the plan was just to get her to the rehabilitation center, and the next video will speak about us doing that. And when we did that, that's kind of when I came back. I had been exchanging information over the phone with my mom, and then I had already made time to come back so I can sit with her at the rehabilitation center to relieve my mom. So I'll pick back up off from there. Thank you guys so much for joining. Share my video, and any newcomers that I have. Again, thank you so much for subscribing. You will have to go back and watch all of my other clips to kind of catch up to where I'm ending right tonight, so you can kind of get a feel of, what took place in the beginning. But those videos are there, so you can go back and watch them at any time. But I just wanted to say thank you all so much. Make sure you hit the button, the one that says subscribe, so that you can be alerted, notified every time I make my videos. And thank you so much for tuning in to me and listening as I continue to talk about my sister's journey. But it's been real, y'all. I'll see you all next time. Thank you, and make sure you subscribe to For the Love of Money. Peace.